HighBridge, a division of Recorded Books, presents The Wild Life, a Joe the Bouncer novel, by David Gordon. Read by Joe Barrett. Part 1. 1. Joe was afraid to move. He stood, holding his breath, listening intently for the creak of a floorboard, a telltale rustle or sigh. Every muscle tensed as he eyed the small bathroom window, doing the math, or he supposed physics, in his head. Even if he managed to edge out sideways onto the narrow ledge, could he make the reach to the fire escape without falling the 8 floors to the sidewalk? Unlikely, but he would almost rather risk it than face what awaited him on the other side of the bathroom door. Why hadn't he thought to lock it? He stared at the flimsy handle now, waiting to see it turn from the outside, wondering if he could simply reach out and twist the locking mechanism if he dared. Then he heard a voice. It was the law. Special Agent Donna Zamora of the FBI. "What's the matter, honey? Why are you up? Do you have to make pee?" Ears straining, Joe awaited the answer that could seal his fate. Why did the shower curtain have to be translucent? He heard the tiny voice of Donna's 6-year-old daughter warbling in the living room. "Don't worry, it was just a dream," Donna said. "Let's get you some water and tuck you in Mommy's bed." As their steps faded, Joe breathed a sigh of relief, then smiled sardonically in the mirror. He'd hidden in sewers from cops and in bomb craters from jihadists without getting quite this tense. Then again, he'd sooner go up against a trained killer in mortal combat than have a small child discover him naked at 2 a.m. Finally, there came a soft knock, at the height of an adult hand. "It's me," Donna whispered. He opened the door. Donna was in her robe, dark hair glistening in the shadows. She handed him his clothes, his Converse Chuck Taylors, on top of his folded shirt and jeans. From her robe pocket she pulled his crumpled boxers and one sock with a hole in the heel. "I couldn't find the other sock," she whispered, while he quickly dressed. "It must be under the bed." He sat on the toilet lid to tie his laces. She ran her fingers through his hair. "Sorry if she startled you." "She nearly gave me a heart attack." He could see her smiling in the dim light that slipped in from the window. Joe Brody, veteran of ops so black his military record had been deleted, an ace criminal who commanded respect throughout the 5 boroughs, afraid of a little girl. "Come on," she took his hand. "I'll grab your coat. You can get out through her window." Joe followed her to Larissa's room, a magical candy-colored cave where teddy bears and stuffed unicorns snuggled with lambs and frogs, Disney figures populated the walls, and shimmering stars hung from the ceiling. Glitter was everywhere. He drew on his jacket, pulling gloves from the pockets, winding a scarf around his neck, while Donna opened the window. That iron fire escape was going to be cold. "It's your own fault, you know," she told him. "Ever since she spotted you that time, she has dreams about a man creeping past her window." "My fault?" He pulled his hat on. "In that case, I will just stroll out the door like a gentleman." She shook her head. "You can't. You know Mrs. Ruiz will see you leave." "Doesn't she ever sleep?" "Not since 1975, according to her." "That's what my grandmother says, too." Then you hear her snoring. He sat on the windowsill. Already he could feel the chill from the river. She perched beside him. "Point is, you're supposed to be a master at this stuff, professional criminal." He smiled. "I'm out of practice, thanks to you." "Well, we are going to have a serious talk. Figure this out." He sighed. It seemed like they spent half their time rolling deliriously in each other's arms, and the other half seriously discussing the problems with it. "I'm sorry if I've traumatized your daughter. I will pay for her therapy out of my ill-gotten gains." Donna smiled. "She's a city kid. She's seen worse. Luckily, she decided you were Spider-Man. God knows why. His outfit is way cooler." "Because she's smart. She can tell we're both from Queens." Joe kissed her. "Speaking of which, come over tomorrow. Larissa has a play date. Your mom can take her. We need a play date ourselves. Gladys will be out all day. Sneaking a girl in when your grandma's out, definitely not the solution to our problems." Joe swung his legs out onto the fire escape and braced himself for the climb. "At least you get to come in the front door." 2. Swift and silent past the darkened windows, slow and careful past the few with lamp yellow or screen blue leaking through their curtains, Joe felt the cold leach up from the iron into his hands and feet, the wind from the river already stinging his cheeks and neck. The reason he was crawling up the fire escape now was not only because of Donna's impressionable young daughter, or her nosy neighbors, or even her mother, who lived across the hall. It was not because of his grandmother, whom he had not told, or any family problems at all. It was not religion or politics or culture or any of those traditional issues. It was not even a romantic dilemma. They were both free and single. Donna and Joe were a 21st century Romeo and Juliet, with the most modern of personal problems, a career conflict. Donna was a federal law enforcement agent, finally on the rise after thwarting a terrorist plot and saving much of New York, and Joe was a professional criminal, lifelong pals with a Mafia boss, and deeply entangled with the city's top organized crime leaders who had empowered him to hunt down a terror cell lurking in their midst. When that terrorist ended up with a bullet in the head, they declared him their sheriff, giving him free rein throughout their territories and making him the fixture they called on when they, too, needed 911 to protect them from the nightmares that kept even Mafia dons up at night. Al-Qaeda cells, white supremacist plots, terror-financed heroin pipelines, homemade nuclear bombs. While the citizens slept relying on Donna to keep them safe from dangerous criminals, the most dangerous criminals in the city relied on Joe. For Donna, to have their relationship go public would mean the death of her career. For Joe, it would just mean death. They were star-crossed from the start. They'd met when Donna arrested Joe during a raid on Club Rendezvous, the strip joint controlled by mob boss Gio Caprisi, where Joe, his childhood buddy, worked as a bouncer. They crossed paths again when Joe shot her with a beanbag round, something that a lot of women would consider a definite red flag, though he had done it to save her life, since he had infiltrated a group of weapons thieves who had ordered her death. Later, when she had to kill a terrorist to save Joe's life in return, he did the chivalrous thing and disposed of the body by taking it out on the Caprisi boat and feeding it to sharks. And that was how it went for them, always in danger, and often on different sides. But the attraction, the strange magnetism, the electric charge, was there from the beginning, too. And the more Donna got to know him, the more fascinated she became in spite of herself. She had dedicated her own life to serving and protecting the people around her. Joe had served his country and gotten nothing back but bad dreams and a PTSD-related drug problem. Seeing him continue to risk everything to save strangers who would never give him a medal or pay him $1 or offer a word of thanks, who would, on the contrary, gladly lock him up forever, inspired a feeling in her beyond carnal attraction that was hard to dismiss. Not respect exactly, since she could only deplore his methods. It was admiration, pure and simple. Her daughter had been right after all. Like Spidey, he was a working-class hero from Queens. And for Joe? Donna was the answer to a dream he didn't know he had. A dirty dream at first, of course. She was sexy in a sly way, hot in a cool way. Those dark eyes, exciting whether flashing with anger or lust, that raven black hair, that body that made even a square Fed suit somehow more X-rated than the nothings the girls wore at the club. But as he started to see how smart she was, and how brave, and how true to her own conscience, how much courage and honor she carried in her heart, he came to recognize a fellow warrior, one who somehow also lived in the light, in sanity, family, and peace. She seemed just maybe to offer him something he had never even imagined for himself: hope for a better future, a happy life. 3. Melody heard somebody coming. She had been locked up, chained to a pipe in this concrete hole for what seemed like forever. There was little sense of time down here, but hunger, thirst, and discomfort told her it was at least a couple of days. Days spent praying, crying, yelling, and when exhaustion took her, dreaming in brief snatches about someone, anyone, coming to her rescue. Once she dreamed that she was home, really home, in Georgia, sleeping on a picnic blanket when she was a little kid, and she woke up crying. Once she dreamed that cops whom she had feared and avoided her whole life were coming to help her, and she woke up yelling. Once she dreamed that she was safe in bed in her apartment, under the covers, and her dog was licking her toes, and then she realized it was a rat taking a tentative taste, and she woke up screaming. But now she was awake, and like a dream come true, someone was coming. As the steps drew closer, she strained to see in the gloom, twisting her arm against the chain. "Hello? Hello? Are you there? Help me, please." She tried to yell, but could produce only a harsh rasp from her dry, sore throat. Her own voice shocked her. It was a ghost voice. She summoned the last of her strength to wave her hand, to call. Then he appeared, and she knew he was not here to save her. Too weak to cry, she shook her head as his hands curled around her throat. 4. Just explore your options, that's all I'm saying. They were lying in Joe's bed now. Gladys, his grandmother, was out gambling, playing cards. Not that it was really a gamble for her, nor was it play. It was work. She was an expert card hustler, an old-time grifter from a long line of thieves who'd raised Joe herself when his parents died young. He grew up here, in this apartment in Jackson Heights. For Joe, this was not just home, but the center of the world, most of which was represented in the neighborhood, more than at the UN across the river. From the clothes people wore in the street to the 100 languages filling the air, to the markets and music and newspapers, and most especially the food. That was what Donna came for, besides Joe. Today it was Taiwanese seafood, then back to his place, the same apartment where she had once executed a search warrant, to make love. And then, of course, to talk. "This is the perfect time for it," she continued now, curled up against him, his arm around her shoulders, while she absent-mindedly traced the scar on his left side over the heart. "You've got the money. It's not like you need that bouncer job. Why are you even going in tonight?" Joe shrugged. His last caper had netted him more than $200,000 in cash. "My name's on the schedule." He looked at the clock on the nightstand. He had to get going soon. It was cold out there, and so warm in here. "It's not like I can just retire. That money is in long-term savings." "And by savings you mean your grandmother's mattress and Gio Caprisi's safe?" "That's right. It's a diversified portfolio." She snorted derisively. Joe gave her a squeeze. "Snort derisively if you want. You know my grandmother's too smart to keep it all in her mattress. It's in her shoes, the walls, even I don't know where. And Gio's safe? That is the most secure location in New York City." "True," she admitted. "Not even the most desperate criminal would try crossing Gio. But it's not the safety of the money that worries me. It's yours. I mean, you can't do this forever. You'll run out of room for scars. And what about our long term? You know you're going to have to quit sooner or later. Why me? Why do I have to sacrifice my career?" She rolled her eyes at the word career. "Well, let's see. Because mine is legal, and it comes with a pension and health insurance, and I only rarely get shot at or almost blown up, and they gave me a medal for it, and a promotion, not to mention a cool badge." She paused there. Her finger stopped. Unconsciously, she'd been tracing the star that the city's top crime bosses had branded him with when they made Joe their sheriff. It wasn't a badge you could turn in, or throw away, or bury in a drawer to show your grandkids. It was a stark reminder that in Joe's world, there was only one way to retire. She put her arms around him and squeezed tight. Just take some time to explore your options, she said. That's all I'm saying. 5. Gladys was working on an inside straight when she spotted it. She'd been coming to this casino for a few nights, always leaving with money in her pocket. She wasn't cheating. She didn't have to cheat to do well against this crowd. But she was on a job. She was looking for cheats. The casino was in the basement of a storage facility in a commercial district with little activity after dark or on the weekends. No one noticed the vans that rounded up punters from nearby pickup spots and dropped them here to empty their pockets at poker, blackjack, craps, and a little roulette without the hassle of traveling to AC or the upstate casinos. The crowd was a mix. Hardcore Chinese and Korean players who went all night, locals including everyone from retirees to public school teachers to lawyers and off-duty cops, and some visitors just passing through, dressed for a night on the town, stopping in between dinner and the club. The place had been set up by the building's owner, Max Morton, a.k.a. Max the Mini King, who ruled a small empire of mini storage warehouses, where overstuffed New Yorkers paid to stash their extras, as well as a fleet of moving trucks. His face, cheeky, jowly, grinning, apple red under a cartoon crown, appeared on ads all over the subway, the billboards atop his places, and the sides of his trucks. Business was good, but not quite good enough. The Mini King had a major gambling habit. He liked high-stakes poker especially, playing at games held all over town. But he also enjoyed losing heavily at blackjack, sports betting, and even the lottery. Being the self-starting, bootstrapped entrepreneur he was, his solution, when he couldn't beat them, was to join them and open his own casino. Why not? He had the space. There was one big difference, however. When opening a mini-storage warehouse, there were local city and state authorities to deal with. Tax people, inspectors, council members, homeowners associations. When opening a casino in this part of town, there was only one authority whose blessing you had to obtain: Gio Caprisi. Max hadn't gotten to be the Mini King by being stupid. He reached out to Gio, who considered the matter and agreed. He partnered on the casino with Max and also had him grant a small slice of the pie to Uncle Chen, the boss of Chinese crime in Flushing, as well as to a Korean crime lord of Gio's acquaintance, to smooth any feathers ruffled by having pigeons fly over from the other casinos of Queens to be plucked. Gio also provided security, which in this case meant protection from both outlaws. A couple of Caprisi family associates worked the door, but it was widely known that robbing this place was suicide, and from the law itself. The local cops were paid to look away, and any other complaints would be routed to Gio's people. After that, everything went smoothly. For a while. Fitting the name Mini King, Max's joint was small but regal, with flocked rose wallpaper, gold trim on the pillars holding the basement ceiling up, brand-new card tables, professional dealers in white shirts and bow ties, a bar, even a roulette wheel in the corner. Then, after a few months, Gio noticed something weird in the weekly take. Sudden spikes in poker winnings, always on busy nights and always at one or two tables. Now, Gio was in the gambling business, but he was not a gambler. He did not believe in luck. He wanted this oddity explained. Maybe there were a few real pros in the mix, or maybe there was a shark in his waters, cheating, and maybe they had inside help. So he called the sharpest card player and grifter he knew to come and check it out. She was perfect, someone no one would suspect, who looked totally innocent and harmless, but was crooked enough to know every scam, while also completely trustworthy in Gio's eyes. He hired Gladys, his best friend's grandma. She spent a few hours a night playing poker at different tables, winning the occasional pot, losing enough to blend in, and mostly checking out the other players, the dealers, the security cameras, the door guys, the works. It took her 2 nights to spot it. Gio's new partner, Max the Mini King, was ripping him off. Max wasn't stupid, but he was greedy. His casino made a lot of money, but a lot was not enough to cover his own gambling losses, which only rose now that he was rubbing elbows with high rollers and meeting the guys who ran other joints, not to mention his usual nut, the big house, the big cars, and his wife and 3 daughters, all terribly spoiled. What was a mini-king without a mini-queen and mini-princesses? So Max came up with a perfect scheme. Who was the one person who could go anywhere, look at anything? He was. He recruited a couple of sharp players from his old days as a regular customer and had them sit in. Then he cruised around, meeting and greeting, shaking hands, checking up on the dealers, even visiting the camera room to check on the guys there. And the whole time he was scoping out the cards, seeing what the people playing with his cronies were holding, who was bluffing, who had a winning hand. Then when he saw a big pot, he'd signal his stooge, go all in or fold. It worked like a charm at first, but success made him even greedier. Soon the same 2 players were winning a statistically unlikely number of big pots, staking everything and winning, but never going all in on any losers, creating an anomaly for Gio, and a pattern that Gladys could have seen even without her glasses. That night, when she cashed in her winnings and got up from the table, she smiled at everyone like the lovable granny she was, bright blue eyes behind huge round spectacles, a beauty parlor perfect halo of white hair, a wool sweater that matched her stretch pants, a cane. Like always, she gave a cheek kiss and a tip to the dealer, who was working her way through college. However, this time she also gave a cheek pinch to a cocky guy with a dark beard and black turtleneck who run the last 2 big pots. Then, as she made her way to the door, she gave a good-night pat to a player at another table, a rotund fella in a hoodie, sweatpants, and bright sneakers. "Don't stay up too late," she told him as she passed. "Night, Granny," he answered with a chuckle, as he went all in on another big hand, and won. When she reached the door, one of Gio's top guys, Pete, was waiting, along with little Eddie, 6 feet 2 inches of muscle and wide as the door. Still, he was the son of Big Eddie, who had died protecting Gio, hence he would be known for life as Little Eddie. She caught their eyes as she passed. A beat later, they followed. In the parking lot, with his right hand Nero running the engine to keep the car warm, Gio Caprisi was waiting. When he saw Gladys, Gio hopped out to escort her. She kissed him on both cheeks but declined his arm. "It ain't even icy, I'm fine," she said, handing him the cane, which was just a prop. "Now listen, you got 2 sharks in the tank there." "Let's talk in the car," Gio told her. "It's freezing out here." Nero opened the back door solicitously, and Gladys patted his shoulder. "Hiya, hun," as she got in. Gio sat beside her. Pete got in front with Nero, and little Eddie stood outside, good-naturedly impervious to the cold like his dad. "I got the heat going and the seat warmers are on high," he told her. "I can't stand those things," she said. "Make me feel like I peed myself. I'm not ready for diapers yet. Nero, turn off the seat warmers." "Yes, boss." "Now, I showed the sharks to Pete," Gladys said. Pete gave Gio a single nod. "They're small-timers," she explained. "And the boss, Mini King Max, is strictly amateur. When he straightens his tie, it means bet heavy. When he shoots his cuffs, it means fold." "Got it," Gio said. "Thanks, Gladys." She shrugged. "There was nothing. Now what?" Gio pulled an envelope plump with cash from his jacket and put it in Gladys's hands. "Now Nero drives you home. And Max, if he's smart, will be pissing his pants for real." He and Pete got out, shutting the door. Nero popped the trunk, lowering his window to remind little Eddie, "Don't forget the toolbox." 6. "I'm exploring my options," Joe said. He was in the back booth at the club with Santa, who shrugged. Santa was a nickname, short for his last name, Santangelo, and he had the long white beard and big round belly to go with it. Santa's own options ranged from managing this joint for Gio to training rescue dogs on the weekends with his wife Kelly, a.k.a. Mrs. Santa, to doing what he was told and ignoring what he was told to ignore when Joe and the others needed to use his office. He was, on the whole, perfectly content with this destiny, if not quite jolly. "Sure, why not explore?" he told Joe. "You can try what I'm doing, getting my GED," offered Autumn, her curvaceous redhead who danced at the club. It was early, and the crowd was thin, so she was wearing a pink silk robe over the G-string and bra she'd soon be taking off on stage. "Then I'm going to do either psychology or accounting." "How'd you pick those?" Santa asked her. She sipped her Diet Coke through a straw so as not to smudge her lipstick, which was an elaborate multi-phase process, a lustrous red glazed with a gloss that would sparkle under the stage lights. "You learn a lot about psychology in this job, believe me, whether you want to or not." Santa nodded in sage agreement. "Sure do. Male psychology up front, female in the back." "Half of these guys use me as their shrink," Autumn said. "My tits and my ass got me this job, but this," she tapped her forehead, "is the body part that earns my tips." "Sounds like your psych degree is in the bag," Joe said. "I'm good with numbers, too. I already helped the other girls with their taxes. Like, for instance, this," she parted the robe showing off her spangled pink bra, "is totally a write-off. Anything I wear on stage is, though I guess I don't wear that much. Still, last winter when I got that leather coat with a faux squirrel trim, I walked out in it, took it off, and voila, total write-off." "What about implants?" Santa asked, stroking his beard thoughtfully. "You don't look like you need them," Joe assured him. Santa scowled and Autumn laughed. "Actually, that's a good point," she said. "I suggest amortizing the cost over a few years of projected earnings." Joe could barely follow. He'd had 2 legit on-the-books jobs in his life, the military and this. For the rest, he was an independent contractor who earned cash and paid tax only to people like Gio. "So this program you're in," Joe asked, "after you get your GED, they help you with the college? What about finding jobs?" "It's like a whole career counseling, where they help you find your skills and talents and match them with career options and then make a step-by-step plan. But the first step is a diploma for me. What about you, Joe? Did you drop out?" "Nope. Expelled." He neglected to mention that it was from Harvard. He was there on a scholarship, majoring in literature and philosophy and scoring straight A's, but when he got caught fleecing the rich kids in card games and broke a few frat boy noses in the aftermath, he ended up bounced from the Ivy Halls and facing criminal charges. A judge, not a counselor, laid out his career options: jail or the military. "Don't worry," Autumn said. "It's never too late to change." "Speaking of which," Santa looked at his watch, "you're on in 10. With a sigh, Autumn rose and went backstage. Santa's phone rang, and he retreated to his office to take the call. Joe sipped his black coffee and got out his book. It was his battered copy of Ulysses, which he'd bought used back at Harvard, and had decided to give another go. He was hoping for a quiet night. 7. I got bad news and good news. Gio had entered the casino unannounced and caught Max just as he was coming out of the camera room where he'd been spying on the players, hoping for one more big pot that night. "Hey, Gio, great to see you." Max grinned big and shook his hand. What news is that?" "The bad news is somebody's been cheating," Gio said. "But don't worry. The good news is we caught them." "What?" Max asked, his incredulity unfeigned. "Who?" "Let's go see." Gio put his hand on Max's shoulder, calm but firm. Max's pants were not yet wet, but his armpits suddenly were. They went upstairs to the closed storage facility, where one unrented space at the end of a windowless concrete hall was now opened and lit. One of the men Gio had working casino security stood by the rolled-down door, nodding as Gio and Max passed. Inside, the 2 players, the bearded turtleneck guy and the rotund sweatpants guy, were sitting in folding chairs at a folding table. They did not look comfortable. Pete stood to one side, casually holding a gun. Eddie stood on the other, holding a shiny red toolbox. "What do you think, Max? Recognize these 2 scumbags?" They both looked at him entreatingly. "Me? Who, them?" Max sputtered. "No, I never saw them before." Beard gasped at this. Rotund squirmed, his eyes getting bigger. Gio shrugged. "Okay, then. Eddie, get the hammer. And you 2, he nodded at the 2 cheats, put your hands on the table." Rotund began to whimper and shake his head. Beard tried to beg. "Look, I'm sorry. I didn't know." "Shh, stop whining before I get annoyed," Gio told them.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?